Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. On today's episode of he actually remembered to make the pwned video, we're going to talk about an update that released for the resident overglazed game of this channel, Pwned by 14. This update added new survivors, killers, maps, and whole overhauls, so bear with me as I...
Hello ladies and gentle ladies! And guys too, I guess.
Hi Byte. Finally decided to do something for the channel after the Dandy's World video, did we?
Yeah, I low-key got distracted.
Having a wonderful and wholesome time
With Bobette. But now I'm back. This time I'm actually going to be a main feature on the video, since we could poetry is good videos. We'll just work together on the pwned review.
Whatever. I guess this video will not only just be the pwned video, but a collab too. What an efficient way to save money. I don't even have to pay anybody for this. Whether that's a legal or moral thing to do is besides the question. Oh well, make sure to stick around to the end of the video for a free code for the game as well. Who doesn't love free money, right? Anyways, without further ado, let's just get right into it. Pwned by 14's newest update, Anywhere But Here, introduced a ton of content, and if I tried to list every single new thing added in this video, we'd have a video length even longer than the Nullscape video. So, for the sake of my sanity, in this video I'll only go over the most significant changes I saw in this update, with the help of my good friend Byte, of course.
Hi, that's me, I'm Byte.
Get out of my studio, this is my section. As I was saying, I want to go over the most important things in this update. First, starting off with the newest survivors. IHasAFaceLULZ has to be one of the most unique additions to a Roblox asymmetrical game I have ever seen. So, let's go over her moveset, and then I'll give my thoughts on it. For the sake of brevity, I'll be referring to her by her real name, Aubrey, throughout the rest of the video. Aubrey is a Bloxer survivor, that means stunner if you're wondering, that focuses on buying time for her teammates utilizing her moveset. She excels at stalling and keeping the killer occupied in chase of support, but comes with the drawback of not being able to do that much in solo queue. Aubrey's first move is quite simple, a parry that has a 0.1 seconds wind up. Aubrey gets about 0.3 seconds to land her wind up, where if it's landed, she'll negate all damage, silence, slow, and ground the killer, and will be able to lunge into the killer, causing them to be slowed and silenced for 2 additional seconds. This move, while fun on paper with the sword slashing mechanic due to its possible mind games, barely ever works. The fast wind-up of the move seems like a positive, but you have so little time to land the parry that this move feels worse to use than Guest 1337's parry from Forsaken. I'm sorry, this might disappoint all 3 guest mains that are still left, but it's the truth. On top of that, you actually have to land the lunge after, which can miss, which causes the issues of Guest 1337's parry needing to actually, hit the killer after blocking. Except that you don't even get to stun the killer, you just debuff them. This move is pretty much only useful against new players unfortunately, and can occasionally work for mix-ups, but the amount of time you get to use this move, and the use you get out of it, doesn't really work out. On the positive side though, we have Aubrey's shoulder bash. If she doesn't have her swords equipped, she'll do a dash that springs her away from a killer if landed, and unsheaths her swords. If she does this move with her sword out, she'll use overhead, an incredibly powerful stun move that stuns the killer for 3 whole seconds if landed, as well as knocking them back. This move comes with the drawback of having an incredibly long wind up though, so it's usually a move that synergizes with other players. I think the move is fine for how much balance there is of risk and reward here, but the strength of this stun when stacked doesn't really seem to get any weaker. I'll get back to this a little later down the video, but Aubrey stacking is a huge issue in this game. This move is fun to use combined with the knockback M1s, but in chase in solo, it can be quite difficult to land, especially against a competent killer. Aubrey's slashes have a cost of 15 stamina every time it's used, but landing a slash refunds 10 stamina, as well as giving you resistance each hit. Now, what a logical player would do is carefully use this resistance and stamina cost to judge when it's necessary to take the killer head on. With Aubrey's being stacked, this can be absolutely insane to use within a team. You can take over 10 hits as long as you perfectly slash in time with the killer's hits, as well as parry and stun the killer. The only limit at this point is yourself.
Hold it. Cut it all out. We are not about to make Aubrey sound this enticing. You want to know how I feel about Aubrey? I'll tell you. As a collector main, and a main of the one who came before him, bless up Big F, you will be missed, Aubrey is like a little rodent in the perfect household of the Survivor lineup. When I get outplayed by any other character, it feels like I had a fair fight. They played by the book, and so did I, and they wound up on top. GG's! But Aubrey, she uses her stupid little sword and does nothing but sit there, slash at me, and die. And I know she's supposed to be a staller. I know she's meant to waste my time. But goodness gracious, it gets to a point. Her parry is like if Spirit herself dug up Pull the Plug from the grave, dipped it in straight river water, and gave it back to Aubrey still sopping wet. Her stun is so painfully easy to dodge that getting hit by it should warrant a cash payout of $20,000 to the entity just for the inconvenience alone. And this one goes to when I'm on the team with Aubrey. Stop slashing the damn killer for 5 seconds. You are not hype moments and aura. I am actively watching your health bar go down, and then the moment I go in to help you after catching my own bearings, I'm suddenly watching the entity's kill animation! Oh my god! What could have possibly gone wrong? One more thing. Please put your sword away when you're in chase. Holding that damn sword is making your stamina regen worse. You wanna live, don't you? Then start playing like it! Ah, goodness. Okay, I'm good. I need to get that out of my system. Well, instead of talking about her, how's about we talk about her friend instead? Don't actually respond to that. This is a video. Stupid.
Dinosaur office! Roar!
Okay, so, on the support side, we have Raggedy Ann 1977, and honestly, I think she's one of the most well put together characters of this entire update. She never feels like hell to play as or to go against. If I had to describe Ann shortly, it'd be like if Caretaker from Die of Death and Jacob Gunhound had fused together. Her moveset is as follows. You've got the Bucket. Code of Life. You automatically spawn with 1 stack of it charged because Spirit is oh so gracious. It's your one and only healing tool, and you get more charges / healing out of it by hitting the killer with your drawings. And I don't mean throwing your art commissions at KillerKyle's face, I mean Sketch of Power. If you've played Gunhound, and which I mean you have, since she's the starter survivor, you'll be real familiar with it. You'll go into an aiming mode just like Gunhound's shotgun. When you M1, you'll fire a drawing that goes on until it hits a wall or the killer, at which point the killer gets inflicted with Debilitated 2, which makes him deal less M1 damage / damage in general, and you get another stack of Code of Life. Since the cooldown for Sketch of Power is so short, you should basically always be pelting the killer with drawings, especially if they're chasing one of your teammates. Remember, 2 of the newly introduced entities in this game both deal 18 M1 damage, so the more you hit them, the less damage they deal, the more they struggle. Now, back to the Bucket. It's easily the best healing tool in the game in my opinion. The reason I compared it to Caretaker and Die of Death is because just like it, it also has multiple hitboxes that can hit several of your teammates at the same time. Now, sure, Brandon's light bins can also heal multiple people at the same time, but with Ann you don't have to stand in one spot for like 15 seconds to regain, 30 HP? Here's how the stack system for the Bucket works. 5 HP for no stacks, 10 HP for 1 stack, 15 for 2, and 20 HP for 3 stacks. Alongside the natural on-hit healing, Code of Life also gives the heal target damage resistance and regeneration too. Her passive also allows her to see people she's healed highlighted through walls, so if you happen to heal someone mid-chase, you can keep tabs on them, predict where the killer's going, and get a free sketch hit. With the right teamwork, Anna's a great survivor to have on your side. Alone? I genuinely don't know if she's good or bad alone. I've somehow won 4 LRSs as her, and one of them resulted like this! Overall, invest in Ann if you're not too fond of Brandon. I promise you won't regret it.
Snapchat?
Sorry, I'm kind of only into taller.
Now, before we move on to Gunhound and her changes, if you're enjoying this deep dive of the game so far, feel free to stick around and like the video. I talk about different Roblox games and news every week, so if you think that's something that's right up your alley, make sure to subscribe to keep yourself informed. Now, let's get back to Gunhound. Gunhound was a survivor introduced in the Blood in the Snow update, and she got an entire rework. This one's a doozy, so let's break it down. First off, Gunhound now has to land 2 separate shots for her stun to be successful. Not only that, but her first shot inflicts minor debuffs that allow the second shot to be landed just a little bit easier. On top of that, she now has an alt gun bash that she can use by pressing the gun bash bind whenever she has her BB gun out, with her own separate cooldown. This is mostly used for lining up the shot if the killer is far too close to you, but can additionally be really helpful as a mix-up option to get distance between yourself and the killer if your actual gun bash is on cooldown. This comes with the sacrifice of your actual shot being harder to land afterwards, but in LRS, where you usually don't get much time to land a shot, it can be really helpful. The drawback of these new changes is that Gunhound's stun time is about a second, including the amount of time she's in end lag. This means that close-up landing the stun is pretty useless, unless you're trying to cancel a move, and is mostly just a last resort. Getting M1 while having your BB gun out also forces you to put your gun away. Even if you've landed your first shot and are actually trying to line up your second one, putting it on the exact same cooldown as if you've landed the second shot, being 40 seconds. I know these changes are meant to encourage Gunhound being more of a backline stunner rather than blasting your face for maximum stun time constantly, but she's went from a top tier survivor to being honestly pretty bad. Aubrey can do everything she does with resistance and far less risk. And while Gun Bash is incredible for gaining distance and a stamina advantage, the sheer number of nerfs to her BB gun to prevent Blood in the Snow levels of stun stacking is absolutely ridiculous. I heard from some of my friends on the team that Gunhound stuns has so many limiting factors due to the fact that her stats were meant to be for a different version of her rework, where she only had to shoot her gun once. This explains the damage drop off and the maximum stun time being so low for Gunhound, but I don't understand why this hasn't been changed when the new rework was made. To keep Gunhound balanced, I think she needs the slightest buff. Increase the stun time, remove the damage drop off to encourage being more of a backliner, and for the love of God, if Gunhound gets hit before she can land her second shot, give her a halved cooldown rather than an entire 40-second long cooldown. Roblox ASIMs already have really bad hitboxes in general, and as much as I like pwned ones, trying to combat a killer on high ping is the worst thing ever, combined with how unpredictable killer's movement is.
Next up, we've got Guess 666, and well, he can wall. No, that's a Blood in the Snow thing. Instead of model being stationary, you can make him track the enemy Wait, that's also Blood in the Snow. Okay, could y'all give me like 1 second? A lot of balance changes for this update, and we will be unable to list them all. You know, for the sake of my and everybody else's sanity, we're gonna just...
Guest aside, another survivor that got a rework this update is Dragon Dudes 3. The rework made Dragon go from one of the most insufferable survivors to go against into a mostly fair survivor on both ends, with the hammer no longer being a ranged stun and needing to be hit close range. An additional requirement for the stun is now you need to correctly complete a quick time event for it to actually stun the killer. If Dragon misses his swing, the killer just gets minor debuffs and is mostly unaffected. This changes Dragon from being a backliner that stuns the killer from across the map to actually needing to be a frontliner that goes directly in to stun the killer and help the team. With how good this stun is and how strong it is, I'm honestly not too sure of the stun time being so long, especially with the fact that it's the same length of Aubrey's and it's such low risk. Missing the stun barely comes with any end lag, allowing you to just continue to run away, and it can easily be saved by another Dragon immediately coming in to stun the killer, basically forcing them into a lose-lose situation. I think the hammer definitely needs a bit of tweaking to make it just that bit more fair, but this is way better than getting sniped with zero counterplay from across the map. Dragon Dudes also had his parry removed, thank God, and it was replaced with a bottle of Mad Milk, a TF2 reference. Considering the nature of Mad Milk, I don't know how Pwn got away with putting this in the game, but that's neither here nor there. If Dragon throws the milk at a killer, it'll debuff them by giving them the soak effect, converting any damage taken into healing. For example, if Dragon Dudes lands his stun immediately after soaking the killer, he'll heal 12 HP. Landing the hammer decreases the cooldown of Mad Milk, encouraging Dragon to try and constantly battle the killer in return for healing health back. If Mad Milk lands on a player, it'll give them 10 overheal and cleanse debuffs. This can be used on multiple survivors at once, including Dragon himself. I'm not sure why Dragon only gives him 10 overheal, considering that it's documented as giving 20, but I think it's to prevent him power creeping Brandon, who gives 25 overheal over time by cleansing a survivor. I think it should be slightly buffed to like 12 overheal, but other than that, this move is pretty balanced and I wouldn't change much. Recasting the move also allows Dragon to cancel the move, essentially keeping the ranged parts about him that are fun, but reducing how obnoxious it is overall for the killer. In conclusion, Dragon is definitely one of the best reworked survivors added so far, having a moveset that can get him out of pretty dire situations, as well as assist his teammates. I think he's a little too overtuned, but this is far better than Blood in the Snow, where he was basically unbeatable when there was a half decent team. With a few rebalances, I think his current state has a great place in the meta, and his gameplay complements teamwork far better than it did before.
Next up, we've got my personal favorite survivor, Brandon. Obviously, since he was here before, not much has really changed drastically, but I'll give a brief rundown for those that either haven't played him in a while, or don't know much about Brandon's Skit, and those that want to give him a shot as well. First, Cleanse. It's been changed from giving you a better stamina regen to overheal, and oh my god, this is easily one of the best changes the Pwn team has made, period. The concept of the brick going from this thing that you want mid-chase so you can keep the loop going to something you want mid-chase to keep you going is amazing in my opinion. The brick allowing you to tank another hit is such a good concept, and I'm really hoping it's here to stay. And not only is the overheal more useful to your teammates, it's more useful for your own survivability as well. If you're in a situation where you have a distance lead from the killer's Brandon and they're hauling ass towards you, throw a brick out, keep walking, and usually by the time they catch up to you, the brick's self-wear invincibility is gone, and you've just walked into it while regenerating stamina. And if they do hit you, you don't even end up losing that much HP. But don't get hooked thinking Brandon is going to be this unbeatable force. It is confirmed by one of the devs that he's going to be getting a rebound shortly after this video comes out. So take what I'm saying currently with a grain of salt. Oh, right. The light bin. Not much has changed for it as far as I'm aware, but it does break in one hit now, so be wary.
Prototype. How I love to play as you, and how much I despise going against you. My secondary main, Prototype, got some changes this update, and this changed him from being in an almost perfect balanced state to being the best survivor in the game. This has gotten to the point where my Go is being compared to the worst of the worst unbalanced characters, and it's making me a little sad. Whatever, let's go over the changes. First off, the slowness wind-up he gets from using the speed coil has been heavily reduced, meaning that it only stops you in place for about 0.3 seconds. This on its own is a massive buff, meaning that Prototype can now hold his own in an independent chase while still giving the killer an opportunity to catch up. On top of that, if the killer lands a hit, Prototype will lose battery equivalent to how much damage was taken on his speed coil. I don't think this part of the moveset is inherently problematic, it's the fact that when stacked, Prototype is basically impossible to catch, with Aubrey's being able to stall you and other survivors being able to stun you back to back to keep their lifeline alive. I'm honestly mixed on the Prototype buff. On one hand, it's incredibly fun to use, and I love that my favourite Pwned original character has more place in the meta, but he's so insufferable to go against when stacked to the point where I think his moveset might need to be nerfed a bit more. Prototype's gravity coil also got a buff, with it sending you further along the lower health you are, as well as it leaving you on 1 HP if you're about to take a fatal hit, and I think it's one of the healthiest updates to his moveset so far, but I'm a bit concerned at the fact that the floating effect he gives other survivors is pretty much useless. I think Prototype should give a different, more helpful effect for his gravity coil, but who knows. He's already a really cracked support. The move can also bug out sometimes with it not really launching you anywhere or getting you stuck in walls, but it works mostly fine. Prototype's regen coil is mostly fine on its own, but when stacked can be quite the nightmare due to how well he can undo progress for killers like the Collector. I feel like the regen coil needs a few stacking changes outside of what's currently implemented. Other than that, Prototype is mostly fine, just needs some changes here and there, otherwise mostly fun survivor that got a lot of much needed changes in this update.
Alright, time for the killers. Here's Kyle. KillerKyle is your bread and butter starter entity in Pwned, and honestly, despite my personal distaste towards him, I can't be biased and say that he doesn't fulfill the roles of a decent starter character. First up, you've got... Wait, hold on. He has a passive? Huh. Okay, really first off, we have Dagger Throw. You throw 3 knives covering the area in the direction you're facing. If one of them land, they deal 5 damage and additionally inflict bleeding and slowness. Pretty standard projectile move, nothing much to it. However, the slowness can make whoever you hit waste stamina, so keep that in mind. Next is Trilogy Dash. KillerKyle stances up, and the old Roblox click the move thingy appears. M1ing makes Kyle dash towards circle on the floor, and if you couldn't already tell by the name, you can do this up to 3 times before the ability ends. Each dash does 20 damage plus bleed, and it can hit multiple people. Again, not the most reliable source for this, I literally have 0 levels on Kyle. But, if I had to assume, this could probably be your anti-looping tool. So, try that out, I guess. Finally, here's your mind game tool, Actor Stand-In. You turn invisible and send out a scarecrow of yourself. There can only be 2 clones of Kyle active at a time, so keep that in mind. The neat thing about Actor Stand-In is that they also have your same exact tear radius, including layers, so if you set up your clones in smart places, you could pretty easily catch someone not paying attention off guard. And obviously there's the age-old trick of pretending to be a clone, so try that out if you really want to take your mind games to the next level. Overall, despite me not liking to play as or against Kyle, I can't lie, he's not a horrible starter pick. And him being the starter pick was probably for the better. Could you imagine 500 crash dummies running rampant because she was the starter like JX1 instead of Kyle? Ugh.
With KillerKyle out of the way, let's talk about the fan favourite added this update, Crash Dummy. Crash Dummy was a killer made to replace pre-work JX1's playstyle as a rushdown, but with JX1 DX1 being completely scrapped, she's the poster child for this update. Crash Dummy is an incredibly fun killer and definitely the new best killer in the game, only being held back by some lackluster map design. You'll notice that in Pwned, killers will often lose in certain maps, such as Pantomime or Manufacturing. I'll get back to that, but for now, let's go over her moveset. First of all, Overdrive, the ability you'll be using the most out of her moveset. This move essentially works as a replacement for the JX1 DX1 Poison Heart move, giving her faster stamina regeneration, decreased stamina drain, and being able to see survivors through walls. While Overdrive is active, Crash Dummy gets access to powered versions of her moves, which I'll explain right now. Her second move, Here I Come, is where every single Crash Dummy main shines. You start a dash towards somebody, being unable to recharge your stamina. The turning speed is quite slow, but by holding shift, you can increase it by drifting. This allows you to do some insane movement skills with Crash Dummy, allowing you to tap into your inner racer. This move can deal up to 35 damage and restores 20 stamina upon landing the hit. If you miss the dash, you'll become staggered, allowing survivors to pretty much get a free stun on you. If you hit a wall, you'll straight up stun yourself, being unable to move for about a second or two. While Overdrive is active and Crash Dummy uses this move can deal up to 45 damage and is much faster, coming with the cost of being unable to drift during the duration of the move. Her projectile is mostly a basic anti-loop tool, but it can ricochet off walls, and it increases in damage by 15% after every bounce. I think it stacks up to 25 itself, but don't quote me on that. This move is mostly helpful for clearing out crowds, especially when buffed with overdrive, because it gains an explosive hitbox after ricocheting a certain amount of times. Crash is pretty much everything I want in an ASIM killer. Great mobility, fun and fair to go against, with the exception of the projectile. That move is insufferable to go against, with a lot of potential. Hopefully PWNed continues to make killers as fun to play as these. I'm not anything like the Stalker.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Stalker is sad. No, seriously, this killer makes me unhappy. It's not like Stalker is unplayable, she's just one stage above that. As far as I'm aware, nothing drastic changed between Blood in the Snow to Anywhere But Here Stalker, except for the obvious stamina nerf. The stamina nerf was all Stalker needed to get where he is now. Again, Stalker isn't completely unplayable. When put in the right hands, you can very easily get a full wipe using her. It's just, if the lobby has an ounce of game sense, you lose. Entirely. I really hate to get all negative Nancy when it comes to this stuff, except for Aubrey, that one was completely warranted. But Stalker's kinda just in a weird spot where the people who played as her before will gladly stick to her, but she's not all too appealing for newer players to try out. It's pretty evident that Stalker needs some balance changes, but I'm not even gonna try and say what should be changed. I'm not a Stalker player, I'm a collector main at heart. And I'm sorry to say this, but until Stalker does get some changes, they're just kinda washed.
Anyways, you wanna know what killer isn't washed? That's right, my GOAT, the Collector. Despite giving Collector 15 nerfs, that hasn't been enough to keep it down. First of all, the Collector went from being able to play 7 total vines to 5. This made it so that the Collector needs to think more about where it places its traps on all the different maps in the game. This solves the issue of Collector being brain dead, as you can't just spam your traps at every single spot in the game and call it a day. I like this change because from a survivor perspective, the vines will be far more spread out and easier to deal with, especially in LRS. Second, the Collector's stamina got capped at 95 maximum. This means that the Collector can't just hold W in chase and get free kills simply just off its M1. Good improvement that I have no issues with, as Collector is a trapper character and should not be treated as a rushdown, especially with that massive M1 damage. The only nerfs I disagree with is the removal of the speed up on Collector's teleport and vines. They should reward you with a stamina advantage, and survivors should be punished for purposefully running into vines. There is an entire disarming vines feature in the game, and if survivors are purposefully getting themselves entangled, they should be punished appropriately for it. It's also annoying when survivors are able to juke while entangled, to the point where on certain maps it gets harder to hit a slow survivor rather than when they're freed. Again, just my opinion, but Collector's in mostly a fine state now that I don't have too much to complain about. Just like how I never complain about my awesome channel members who make all my videos possible. If you want to join the circle and exclusively PWNed's cosmetics are something I like a lot compared to other ASIMs. As while there isn't an abundance of different reskins for you to choose from, PWNed prioritizes quality over quantity. And sure, while there are a few skins that can be classified as basic reskins, a lot of them completely change how a character looks or just outright remodels them. Take KillerKyle for example. His normal base skin just looks like this. However, you can buy a skin for 5,000 points to quite literally turn him into Sans. Yes, you heard that right, you are not crazy. You can turn him into Dusttail Sans, coming with his own unique model, animations, intro, chase theme, sound effects, and even dialogue depending on certain actions. Kyle isn't the only killer to get a complete change in model either. Skins like Husk and Cannibal for Stalker, Godcoil and Relique for Crash Dummy, and Carlos and Flowers for Collector all change these killers to varying degrees. Whether that be model changes, animation changes, intro changes, more, or all of them combined. Even some survivor skins completely change how a survivor looks while keeping their core elements intact, so you can still recognize what survivor is what skin. There is also a mix of both original characters and references for cosmetics on both sides, which is very cool.
I think one of the most neat parts of Pwn's skins is the fact that most of them are entirely different characters that still exist within Pwn's universe, like Silver Lurker and God Metal. Oh my god, dude, I fucking love God Metal. Oh my god, this is the coolest fucking skin ever. In my perfect world, God Metal would have been the father replacement, not Collective. His damn tall class and prototype has so much aura. Oh my god, it's not even fair. Anyway, there are also the Fiends. I love them because they're all kind of toy-like. I mean, they're obviously their own people, but they kind of give off the vibes of being action figures. And Fiend Collector's aura. For some reason, he got to keep the animations for Unconfined and Stone Men. I won't question it.
Some personal favorite Crash Dummy skins of mine are Godcoil, Body Swap, Velocitype, and You Are an Idiot. They look super clean and are easily some of my favorite skins from any ASIM game, especially Godcoil, which I think is probably the best Crash Dummy skin available right now. Mainly because of its custom animations, voice lines, and chase theme. The only thing I change about it is the running animation she gets, because it looks a little flat in all honesty. I also like the PC Collector and Hello Kyle skins for Collector and KillerKyle respectively, because PC Collector is one of the coolest skins added since God Metal, and Hello Kyle allows me to do an annoying Hello Neighbor bit.
Now, my favorite skins are easily Plush and Corpse for Crash Dummy, just for the chase themes alone. Well, Plush additionally because of the running animation, but you know, that's a side point. Even though I don't like Stalker, I have to give credit to Silver Lurker, Nevermore, and Stalker. Splendid chase themes, truly. But my favorite Stalker skin is Egghead. 10k points well spent, believe me. Collector? Easy. God Metal, Hollowed, Grey Man, Instance Lord, and Null. If you're noticing a trend, it's because they all have something from
Finally, with cosmetics out of the way, let's talk about the maps. And oh boy, where do I begin? It should be no secret that Pwn's weakest point is definitely its maps. But let me just say, I'm not talking about how they look visually. Aesthetically wise, they are very beautiful and look great. Last Stop is a great callback to Bus Stop Simulator. Manufacturing is great to show how both prototypes are made and to somewhat expand on both Crash Dummies and Prototypes lore. And Teapots is also a basic yet very neat map that I also like. Playing on them, however, well, with the removal of the Nullscape map, alongside FaceLULZ's place and a couple others, Pwn's map pool has struggled, to say the least. They're planning to change this in the rewrite update, which I hope will remove the annoying parts of the map and improve them overall, but it sucks that they're left in this mediocre state. Before we get onto the annoying maps, however, I do want to say that Sillyweb's Place is actually a really good map to play on. It features little to no dead ends, is sided towards both killers and survivors, and is just straight up fun. I have very little gripes with this map, and basically all my experiences on it have been nothing but positive. This is where we start to deviate, however. I'll just rip off the band-aid and say it. One of the new maps, Pantomime, is easily the worst map in the entire game since Nuke the Whales. It's so bad that in one section of the map there's a loop spot that is straight up unwinnable with certain killers, or delays the game for so long chases go on for over 2 minutes. This is something that bothers me a lot, as Pwn isn't meant to revolve around mainly stamina play, but instead correct use and generally good timing of your abilities. Pantomime throws that out the window completely and practically gives a middle finger to anyone who doesn't want to play that way with tight corridors, annoying looping spots, and multiple corners for survivors to jump you from without you being able to react in time.
As for the other new maps, California Woods is, I mean, it's okay. It's unique, I'll give it that. Plenty of looping spots, several buildings you can go inside of. Any of the entities can win pretty stress-free on this map with no big issues. The only thing I can really think of that's, like, bad is the fact that if you're aggroed by one of Collector's zombies, you can very easily time them out by going in and out of the window that the cabin on the map has, as the zombies don't have proper pathfinding to just walk through the window like we can. And I suppose due to the abundance of corners and walls, getting a proper hit using Here I Come with Crash Dummy could be a little difficult if you don't position yourself right and aren't on point with your drifts. All in all, it's probably a good tribute to the KillerKyle animations. I don't know, I never watched them. Next up is Memories, and it easily went from being big and miserable to big and tolerable. But it's no PC install, so I won't complain about that. Again, like California Woods, it's just an all-around not horrible map for the killers, except maybe Stalker. But that could just be me, I don't know. I hadn't exactly seen or played good Stalker rounds on Memories explicitly. The map size could also be detrimental to Collector due to losing the extra 2 vines. But here's a Raptor pro tip from yours truly. If you set up a vine staff in the church on the platform, it's pretty good for catching people off guard with its range. And as for the old maps, we've got Last Stop. And yeah, I'm gonna be completely honest, nothing's changed for this map. It's got a semi-complex layout, but once you memorize it, you'll know exactly where the ideal looping spots are gonna be. And it's a good map for every enemy. Say it with me, class. Except Stalker! While Stalker doesn't necessarily suffer on Last Stop, the sheer amount of loops can really make her struggle, even with the usage of Rage. I'm sure most of you are aware of how easy it is to bait out a Rage M1 just by jumping when she's close to you. And despite this probably being the map with the most walls in the game, Pounce isn't even that reliable of being your single tool to get good hits in. And I know, dear committed SharkyLeo viewer, you might be saying to your monitor like a schizophrenic, but Byte, just set up the slowness cloud in the house in the middle to block off that looping spot. And to you, viewer, I say, stop talking to your monitor, you fucking weirdo. Also, survivors could very easily loop around that and still have you wanting to break the nearest window for the most dedicated Glass Father cosplay. But on the opposite side of the spectrum, obviously my glorious King Collector does pretty damn well on Last Stop if I do say so myself. Just stay away from the Blox Donalds, please.
Moving on to a map that's not too bad, Teapots. This map is incredibly basic and is based off the Teapots of Doom game. Teapots in concept works well, as it's a flat map with no high jumps or too many dead ends. However, in actual execution, due to it being so closed off, it's not exactly the most enjoyable for neither entity nor survivor. It's looping hell. You just go around the massive uncounterable loop at the backside of the map, and the killer can basically do jack squat about it. And on the survivor end, you can easily get blindsided or strayed by a move you couldn't see coming due to the sheer amount of walls on the map. Manufacturing is still manufacturing. The first half of it is very fun and generally very pleasing to play on, aside from the slightly annoying loop on the left hand side of the map. However, the bottom half of the map is a completely different story, as the killer side of the map has a very long back loop spot. This spot is incredibly frustrating to go against as pretty much any entity, and even the collector's traps can barely mitigate this factor. The amount of time it takes to place a trap on one side can allow the survivor to just run away anyways, which basically nullifies this strategy regardless. All in all, manufacturing isn't that bad of a map, however it gets points docked for that back loop spot. It's incredibly frustrating, and it makes the map go from being genuinely good to play on to being one of the worst picks whatsoever for killers. Finally, Classic. One of the more unique maps in the bunch due to the 2 different floors with multiple ways to get up there. Based off the cat map, it's honestly not that bad. Genuinely just a straight up good map with a unique gameplay feel to it because of the upper and lower layers that connect to each other very well. The only issue I have with it is for Crash Dummy and KillerKyle getting looped very hard due to the abundance of sharp turns. I think if they were instead changed to be wider turns, it would be more bearable for them. But as it stands, Crash Dummy and KillerKyle get looped super hard on this map. Other than that though, Classic is fine. God tier for Collector, but I'm not gonna complain about a good map for my own main. Anyways, with all that being said, I think that's where I'm going to be ending off this surprisingly long video. Seriously, I didn't expect this short update review to end up this long, but whatever, what's done is done. Overall, I think this update is arguably better than Blood in the Snow, and I think this has been the update that finally pulls Pwned out of niche obscurity. I'd like to thank Byte for getting on and actually helping me out for this video, even if they took their sweet time getting up to actually doing it. If you ended up enjoying the video, you know the deal. Like, subscribe, join my YouTube channel membership so I can keep the lights on, and that's about it from me. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!
While the outro rolls, I'd like to say, first, thanks for watching to the end, and second, sorry that the video did not come out sooner. We planned to release it before the Die of Death update, but it ended up being 40 minutes instead of the usual 20 that we do. So, yeah, sorry about that. Additionally, if there are any Pwn devs watching, I just kind of have one little quick thing to say. I think it'd be neat if you guys gave God Metal Fog Running animation. And this isn't even my God Metal glaze, I just think it'd be really fitting if he had it, because his name is God Metal and all. Alright, that's it for me. Bye!